Welcome back to the channel. I got something cool for you guys today. We're going to be installing a front mount intercooler on the Fusion Sport finally to get more power. I'm super stoked. Currently it's just on 93, so I'm going to wait for it to get nicer out and then probably just pick up an ethanol content analyzer just to make it easier for mixing. So I have the car up on ramps already, and the tools that you're going to need for the install is a ratchet with a 10 mil for these bolts here in the middle on the white, and you're going to need a 7 mil for the bolts that are underneath the car holding the plastic tray up, and you're also going to need a Torx T20 bit for these guys here over there as well. That's the only time I've ever seen you need this for. I don't think there's anything underneath. Or you can do a 13/32 socket for these guys as well, or a 10 millimeter. And let's see, I already said you're going to need a 7 and a 10 mil for the bolts that are underneath the car, and it helps to have an extension so you can reach that. I have these little plastic push pins popped up already to make it easier for removal, and everything is all loosened up. So let's get under the car and see what needs to be loosened up to finish removing the bumper. Alright you guys, so we're under the car, and sorry for a horrible view, but I don't have a lift, I just have ramps. So we're basically going to need to remove all the bolts that are on the white portion, on the white paint of the car. So you can see those two black bolts there. And you got some all the way along, oh god, like a contortionist beam down here, there, and then you'll have I think you got one hidden up there. You got a 10 bolt here, and then these ones, these are the 7 mils. Those are the tiny guys. And I think that's it. So let's go ahead and remove those, and then I'll tell you guys what you need to remove next. Alright guys, this is kind of a weird angle for me. So one of the harnesses that you need to connect is actually right above, well, actually right below the driver's side headlight, and I'll show you. So that's the driver's side wheel. There's that little splash guard thingy, and this little tag. There's a harness up here. It's a little push pin, so in the center of that you see that little U-shaped crevice. In there you need to push that down. Push that down, and then you can just be able to pull it out. Just like that. And be careful so stuff doesn't get in your eye. Like me, because now I'm a pirate. So we're going to go ahead and use the 10 mil here for these bolts. And then now we're going to switch over to the Torx bit. And take these guys out. Make sure you do not lose those. Alright, now we're just going to finish removing these push pins, which can kind of be annoying sometimes, if not all the time. Helps if you have a flathead. If you don't have one of these cool push pin whatever pliers, then flatheads will work just as fine. I've used both. Alright, so we have those all set up, and as you can see, the front bumper is wanting to come off. Now, I'm not looking forward to this because this is a pain in the ass. This was such a pain in the ass last time to do when I was trying to get my front bumper off to replace my AC condenser. But basically, what we need to do is we need to reach in here into the fender well. So we need to remove this pull pin, push pin, whatever you want to call it, and then I think a few more on the inside. You don't necessarily have to take the wheel off, but it helps to get a lot more room. But if you just pull this off, you can reach behind in there. And the pain in the ass part about this is that there's two bolts here around this area where it's holding these two pieces together. Once again, this has paint protection film, so don't freak out if I'm touching the paint or whatever. And they're like right here-ish, and it's such a pain in the ass to get to, man. I had such a rough time trying to get to that when I was trying to take the bumper off the first time, especially on the other side. Man, that was a pain in the ass to do. So take the wheel off, take your time, try to get up under there and get those two bolts, because if you don't loosen up those two bolts on each side, then you won't be able to get this bumper off. So And then when you do get it off finally, you can just put it on hand tightened, just so that they're snug on there, which is what I did. So it should make it easier to remove. So, oh boy, let's try putting the wheel over to the other side and see if we can get in there. Holy shit, you guys, what a pain in the ass, let me tell you. So basically there are two bolts that are like this. This is an 8mm, and they sit up there. One is right here, and then you have one like around here somewhere. So you got to move the tire back and forth between driver and passenger, and it helps if you remove this piece. This little cooling panel, access panel for the cooler is in here. If you remove that, then you can bend this out, and then you can reach up there and grab those bolts. Same thing with the other side, pain in the ass. All right, now I don't think we have anything else left to do to remove. So what we're gonna do is just gonna take this piece and just pull it up. So you're gonna pull down, and you can see these two black tabs. They go in that one and in that small circle. So you can see these two black tabs, and those go in there. So you just gotta pull it down, and we're gonna go in. And the other side was done for me, cool. So now what we're gonna do is I grab it by here as well, and we just lift up, pull off, and there's a harness right there. So if you have somebody, you can just lay that down here, hold it up, disconnect this guy by doing the same thing as we did before with the other connector. You're going to push down, and there we go. Just gonna put this off to the side here. There we go. Now we can get access to the factory front mount intercooler. So we can probably leave this bracket on. This houses the radar for the adaptive cruise control. We just need to get at that. And then these over here. So let's go ahead and try to figure this out. All right, guys, so this seems fairly easy. We have two bolts holding this on. We have a 7mm here. And we also have a 7mm here. Now we also need to take off this sensor. And this is a T30 Torx bit. So let's go ahead and get that done. Whoo-wee, what a pain in the ass. All right, guys, so I don't remember where I left off, but we do have one bolt down here. We have one bolt up there, right there where my finger is. And we have one down here, and then you got two clamps. And then if you have adaptive cruise control, you have to remove this, or just loosen it up enough to put it down, but I would just remove it. Just be careful with this though, because you do have to mount this back. And this piece right here, what you have to do is, I hope you guys can see that. All right, see this little notch? So this goes in here. This goes in there like that, and then it slides off to the right to lock it in place. So you just have to move it to the left, and then you'll be able to loosen that up. And in here I had to remove the air box, so I just loosened up these two, loosened up that as well, and then just pulled the air box out because there's no screws holding it in. And it might be hard to see, I'll do my best to show you guys. So that screw right there at the very tip of my finger, you guys can see that pretty well, right next to the AC line. That needs to go out, and I'll grab a picture of it too so you guys can see. So that needs to come out, and that will allow it to fully come out. And then what we can do is we can just disconnect this, and then we'll just pull this off. So let's go and continue. All right, now with that screw out, there's still a little stud in there. So you can actually just rotate this down, and then we just need to really pop off this connector. So let me go ahead and do that, save you guys some time, save me some trouble trying to film this all, and then when it gets off, I'll show you guys and we can compare the two. What a pain in the ass to get this off, man. Good Lord. Removing the ACC, had to get these pain in the ass things done. So I think what I'll do is I'll take these clamps off, flip them around so they're easy to access. Although that side kind of wasn't too bad. But here's the comparison between the factory intercooler and the Ultimate Performance Front Mount Intercooler. As you can tell, it's probably like twice the size. We have better constructed end tanks. The core itself is about twice the thickness, almost twice the thickness. And then we have a larger, taller core as well. More channels for the air to flow through. And overall, it's just better constructed compared to the OEM. So we're gonna go ahead and make sure the intercooler is all cleaned up. There's nothing in there. And we're gonna go ahead and mount it. We have this little hook on here. And this actually hooks onto this right here, this piece by the radiator. If you guys can see that, hopefully. I can't really see it well on the GoPro. Hopefully you guys can see it. And so it hooks on there like this, just like that. And so you have to kind of twist and pull it out. Make sure you do not hit this line or puncture it at all, because the AC, the Freon that's in this condenser is 500 bucks. Ask me how I know. So, and you also want to be careful with this too, because you don't want to crack the end tank for the radiator. I'm sure that's gonna be a pain in the ass to fix anyways. So let me go ahead and get this installed, and then hopefully I can get a video of that and not lose track of things. And then, so let me get this up. All right, you guys, finally we got the new intercooler on. Let me show you. There she is in all her glory. So when putting this thing back on, there's a little flap under here. I would recommend you remove that. You cut it off. And you'll see what I mean when you take the front bumper off. There'll be a little plastic piece flap in here. What I did was I bent it and then put a line on it with my razor, and then I cut one in and I just pulled it and it went along the crease. So once that was removed, it was a lot easier to get this in. If you have adaptive cruise control, it barely just fits. I mean, like, it just fits. So it definitely does work with adaptive cruise control. You don't have to relocate it at all. I would highly recommend removing this entire bracket system. So there's two bolts under here, 10 mils, and there's one right here on the right. And there's also this little piece I was telling you about earlier where it's in a little key slot. And then if you look through this back there, it's a little arm that goes. And that bolt that I showed you earlier, which is right down there, here's a picture of it so you guys know what I'm talking about. You can loosen that up, and then that'll allow you to pull this entire bracket for your adaptive cruise control radar off. You'll be able to loosen up the two clamps on the side there. Those two clamps, top and bottom. Kind of a pain to get to, but once you loosen that up and you loosen the top two, you can pull it out, put the new one in, and just kind of reverse the process. And what definitely helped me was removing the entire air box to get this. And if you want, you can also use a jack to hold this up while you move this in place. But other than that, you guys, she's all hooked up. She's nice and sturdy, and she's looking good. So we'll see how it goes. Now I'm just going to put the air box back in, make sure all the sensors are hooked up and everything else, and then we're going to take it for a test drive, get some boost into it. Oh, well, before we do that, we have to upload the new tune to take into account all this extra airflow and cooling that we're going to be doing. And we're going to take it off for a test drive, put it under boost as much as we can, make sure none of the hoses pop off because that's bad. And you know, we'll go from there. So let me finish this up, guys, and then I'll see you when we flash the new tune on. Everything is all hooked up and put back together besides the front bumper. So what we're going to do now is we're going to load up the new tune for 93 octane. Car's got about half a tank of 93 left in it still. I'll wait until you know, either empties or some more nice weather out before I go over to E30. And I'm really excited to test that out because it's going to be a lot more power. So let's go ahead and flash the new tune on here. All right, you guys, we're now uploading the new tune here for 93 with the front mount intercooler installed. So I do have a battery tender hooked up, just because sometimes with everything I got plugged in, kind of results in an error where there's not enough voltage. So we'll let it do its thing, and then when that's finally done, we'll take it out for a spin and see how it goes. Programming complete. All right, now with everything all ready to go, tunes up, and we flashed it on there, we're gonna go ahead and close the hood. We're gonna do a final check over all the connections and stuff like that, make sure everything's good to go from there, and we'll just take it off for a spin. All right, you guys, after probably like a half an hour, 45 minutes of just trying to figure out where a boost leak was coming from, I think I finally got it. It was on the post intercooler side going up into the throttle body. There was a clamp that wasn't as high as it needed to be. So, because I know I clamped down the shit out of these clamps, but it's just the one on the passenger side wasn't where it was supposed to be. And I did a few little pulls here and there, and I didn't really hear any whistling or anything like that. So right now it's 50 degrees out, about. So we lost 5 degrees from this morning-ish. And IATs are roughly 86 degrees. And I'm gonna do a few pulls without data logging it, just because I want to make sure that there's no hoses being popped off or anything like that. So we'll take a look at that. I mean, it feels pretty good pulling, but I'm only maxing out at 7 psi. I don't know if that's because of the tune, where, you know, you're flowing more air. God, this shit. I don't know if it's because I'm flowing a lot more air and it's cooling it off quite a bit. And that way there's less boost because it's more efficient. I'm not sure what it is. I'll take a data log and see, and send it off to my tuner to see what's going on with it. I'm thinking it might be the tune, how the tune is laid out, because we gotta think about it. We got the boost leaks resolved, and it can't be anything else. There's not a big gaping hole in the intercooler. There is no hole in the intercooler that I know of. I inspected it before and after I put it on. The only thing that could be is the tune. Now, because I was hitting, I think 22 psi of boost on the factory intercooler. Now the factory intercooler is smaller and it's less efficient than the one that I just put on. The one that I just put on from Ultimate Performance is a lot bigger and flows a lot more air, cools a lot more for sure. So I did just take a log, and it felt good through all 4 gears of pull. And the highest boost that I did was 21 pounds, and the IATs, wow, holy shit. IATs were low compared to what they used to be. Oh man. I can't wait to show you guys the IATs on this device, or on the log here. So I just took a log. We're gonna go ahead and go back. I'm gonna pull it up, and I'm gonna show you guys what the logs were for this pull. This is oh my god, you guys, I can't imagine how crazy it will be on E30. Good lord. And I'm just below a half tank here, so maybe I'll do some driving around and wasting some gas so I can get that video out of going E30. Golly. All right, guys, now back to the iPhone video here so you guys can actually see what's actually on the screen here. So on the left side here, we have the pre-front mount intercooler on the 93 tune. This one here, we have the 93 tune with the intercooler update. And as you can see, we have 145 degrees, 143 on the pre-front mount intercooler. And this log here, we have 119. Let's go down there and take a look. So remember, this is the aftermarket intercooler, this is the factory one. So on the right side, we can see the intake air temps. Value is 78. That's currently what it is now, at the point in whenever I clicked on the map. The minimum was 78 degrees, and the max was 118. I did see 120 on the BDX device. That was after I took the data log and I was kind of doing some more stuff in Mexico. And the average was 95. So on the left one here, this is pre-front mount intercooler. On the 93 tune, we have the value of 138. That's just where the mouse cursor is, so don't pay attention to that. Minimum was 68, and that was this morning. Remember, it was like 55 degrees out or whatever. And that was the ambient temperature, slightly more than that actually. The maximum, now here we go, that's what we want to take a look at, 143. Holy bananas. And if you guys remember from the last video that I did where I showed you for understanding a data log, I was hitting like 150, 152 maybe max. And with the cooler weather, that was last year in the summer, but this way, you know, this kind of the beginning of the year where it's cooler weather, we're at 143 degrees. And bada bing, bada boom, 119 degrees. So we're at like almost a 30 degree difference. Actually, more than a 30 degree difference with that. Whew, man, you guys. All right, so this is definitely worth it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I think we're gonna go ahead and take it off the data log screen and get back to the GoPro. All right, you guys, that's gonna be it for the intercooler install. Oh man, it was quite a process getting that on there and removing the old factory intercooler, especially because of that damn tab that's on the back on the passenger side. Man, that was a workout getting that thing off of there without trying to break the AC lines. Overall, the car looks pretty damn good with it. A few things to note. Remember this little plastic thing that I was telling you about? You need to cut that off to make it work. And then also what you guys need to do is make sure that the adaptive cruise control is good to go. Make sure that's good. So a few issues that I had was removing the factory intercooler, and that was just with that little hook. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you have the driver's side off, and then you can pull the driver's side out, and then you just got to look at that little hook, and then you lift it up, and then you just kind of pry it open, and you guys will figure that out. Well, man, it took me all day. There was a bird flying around in my garage. It took me all day to try to get this thing out of here. But other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions for me, comments and or concerns, drop it down below, and then I'll be doing my best to answer that for you. So if you guys want to see the results of the difference between the two, I highly encourage you guys to check out my previous video that I did where I compared the IATs from the factory to the aftermarket intercooler. And I think that's pretty much it. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and finish up my 2 videos that I did today and put the front bumper on, get all that settled up, and we're good to go. So once again, guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions for me, comments or concerns, drop it down below. Also, don't forget to help support the RPM Act down below as well. And then I'll see you guys in the next video. Just wait until E30. I can't wait. All right, guys, take it easy.